Hello everyone, my name's Dave, and this is the second video for a relaxing minimalist alien farm game I'm creating with my own engine using C++ and SDL2. Previously, I set up placeholder images that have shadows baked into them. In this video, I'm going to set up an algorithm that automatically generates the shadows instead. To generate the shadows for the placeholder images in prototype footage, I used the drop shadow filter in GIMP. When zoomed in, you can see that the top and right edges have a very thick shadow, while the opposite edges have very thin shadows. Overall, I really like the idea, but I want to adjust it visually and make it simple to implement in the game. Imagine a single tile that has other tiles surrounding it. If they're all purple grass, then no shadow will be cast, because they're all the same height. If the center tile is switched to water, then it's lower than the surrounding purple grass. Then the top and right edges will need a thick shadow, and the left and bottom edges will need a thin shadow. If the top and bottom tiles are also switched to water, those edges will no longer have shadows. If the left and right tiles are also switched to water, then none of the edges will have shadows anymore. However, the corners will need shadows instead. Overall, this means that the height of the top, right, bottom, and left tiles need to be checked for edge shadows. For the corner shadows, the corner tiles and the two tiles beside need to be checked. I created separate shadow images for the edges that can be combined together to create the final shadow. To create the corners, I tried copying two edge images by cutting them on a 45-degree angle. However, I didn't like the dark diagonal line that was created. Ultimately, I found using the smudge tool gave a nice round corner and was good at combining edges with different lengths together. For the code, I started by switching the placeholder images to colored squares by switching the function that output textures to colors. I then loaded the edge textures and set up some code to draw them. As you can see, it's doing a very nice job with the edges, but doesn't work for the corners just yet. And therefore, I loaded the corner textures and set up some code to draw them. As you can see, the corners look good now. However, the empty dirt tile is supposed to appear like it's lower than the dirt without grass tile, but visually I have a hard time telling the difference. Therefore, I decided to make another large copy by stretching all the shadow images. However, this created a new challenge for the code because it started to get quite long and messy. Therefore, I decided to load all the shadow textures into two lists. The correct list is selected based on the size of the shadow. The code then loops through the list and determines the correct offset by mapping each element on the list to a 3x3 grid. A check is performed to determine if the tile is a corner or not. Then the required height checks are performed, and the required shadow images are drawn as required. As you can see, everything looks much better now. All the tiles are being drawn with the correct size shadows, and the corners are handled correctly even when different types of tiles are beside each other. I'm not 100% sure what I'll work on in the next video yet. Possibly I'll start working on the plants. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.